Let's try and change the... Good morning, everybody. It is 8:34. My phone says 32, but my watch says 34. It's because I like to be always on time, so trying to cheat on me. Let me get all my jewelry out. I just got dressed and ready for another day of London Fashion Week. My hair is not the best, but we're working on it. I have to book an appointment. Today is another day of London Fashion Week. Fashion month has started for me on the 6th of September, which is now 10 days ago. And I actually have done fashion month so many times before. I think this is my 7th or 8th fashion month. I'm gonna work it out after I film this video. I always say that, but I always forget. I usually get a lot of questions about how it all works and regarding clothes and samples and gifts and when brands lend us things, we borrow, they lend, right? Yeah. You know, and your English is not your first language. You sometimes have to think twice about certain things. So there's a lot of stuff that I wanted to clarify because I think it's only fair that you guys know. This industry is very mysterious industry. It is very under the veil of strategies and like planning and working things out, and a lot of like behind the scene work that is not presented to the public. And I know that many of you are very curious about how does the fashion month work, which is why I wanted to film this video for you guys and clarify it all for you. I wouldn't say I'm like the biggest expert in the world, but I think I have a lot of experience in this field and I could answer to the questions. I'm pretty sure to all of them, but let's see. I haven't actually had a look at the questions, but I will kind of go like straight into it. What time on average is the first event in the morning and what time do you go to bed? So I'm getting up pretty much every day at 7 a.m. during fashion month for sure, sometimes even earlier, but there's not really much light in September or February before that, so I don't really get up earlier than that. 7 is fine. I have time to get ready, to have a look at the emails and to have a look at the content that I have taken before. In my case, I'm speaking during fashion month, I have a little bit more work, so I have a lot of content to deliver, but I'm constantly on the road and at the shows and in the car, so sometimes you just have to like squeeze in shooting for your Instagram or your blog or whatever in between the shows, which means that very often I stay late at night editing pictures. Like last night I went to bed at 20 to 1 and I got up at 7. Night before I went to bed at 2, but that's my fault because I went to Lulu's with my friend Alex. So yeah. When was your first fashion week and what was it like? I think my first fashion week was in 2012 or maybe that was probably London Fashion Week, and then I think New York Fashion Week was, but it's either 2012 2013, and it was very unsuccessful. I mean, actually the first New York was pretty cool because I was the only UK girl, so there was not really many girls from the UK going to the US to do fashion week, which meant that I got like still a lot considering that I had like 11,000 followers on Instagram, which is not little because now there's like a whole micro influencer scene, which is great and I'm very happy for that. It's just that, you know, back in the day, like there were girls with a lot more, like a lot more already, and I still got like many shows. How can you attend the shows? So fashion shows are somehow like industry fair, like a trade show, but you're not really, well actually you are buying. Like if you're a buyer for Harrods or Selfridges or Bergdorf's or I don't know like what are the big department stores around the world, then you are buying, like, you know, you're checking what's going to be available next season and you're buying. So people that are going to be invited to the fashion shows are actually people that are going to bring something to the table. It's like industry's trade show where you go not like to take selfies of yourself or to like be kind of like sitting cute and telling your friends, oh, I've got such a fabulous life, but you go there to learn what trends are going to be there next season. You go there to see what you're going to buy for your department store or even your boutique or whatever, you know. You go there if you're relevant, and that's why brand will invite you. And if you cannot bring something to the table, like imagine these people have limited amount of spaces. Like yesterday I was at the show that I think was for 100 people. So imagine you have people from the US, from France, from Italy, from Spain, like from all publications, and then from all department stores, and then also influencers. You know, it's really not that easy. And as an influencer, how do you go to shows? You have to have a relationship with a brand. Like brands that I don't have relationships are not going to invite me. They don't know about me. They know I haven't been supporting them. But brands that do invite me to their things, you know, like Fendi, like Versace, like, you know, brands that I do support and have relationship with are going to be like, okay, we see that this girl's been supporting, oh sorry, this girl has been supporting us, and we will invite her to the show. That's basically how it works. They're not going to support you if you don't support them. At the same time, I have to add that there are brands that are just not open to influencers yet. Like Balenciaga is just not really interested in having influencers at their show. That might change, you know, like their strategy might change, but at the moment it is what it is. Where do you find the energy to attend all the shows and then after parties and start all over again? I usually am very self-motivated, and I kind of like just push, and I have to go for it, and this is my responsibility and this is my job. And I know it seems very, very glamorous, but I've had my fair share of like broken heels while running to the show, and very uncomfortable like situations where like you arrive to the show and someone's taken your seat and then they're rude to you, or just like bad mood, you know, when you're like in a bad mood yet you still have to go through everything. But then I had some wonderful times as well. So it's my job, and if I commit and I tell the brand that I'm gonna go and I'm gonna show up for sure. I never cancel. Like, you guys know that it's my policy, never cancel. You just kind of have to do it for a month. It's like 1 month, it's like a tour, and then what happens afterwards? Like I guess I've had in my circles a lot of people that are very successful and in different fields. So I've had a lot of sports people in my circle, and for example, they like, you know, they have like a champagne just moved. Oh, I think it's the ice. I think it's sort of like a thing that they know that they have to train hard and work hard and show up and then go to tournament, and you have sore muscles, you still have to go on. And I kind of try to adapt the same attitude. How do you organize the schedule? There are so many shows. That's correct. So many shows, the schedule's so hard to organize. We say no to things that are not of my interest. Like if I'm not interested in a brand or not interested of like seeing what they're doing, or I've been to a few of their shows, I didn't like it, I'm not gonna go. I don't go to these shows to be seen and just to go places, you know. I don't go to these shows just to be like, okay, like if a brand invites me and I'm not interested in the brand, I'm gonna say, I'm so sorry, like I cannot attend. I say thank you for inviting me, but you know, it's not of interest. I actually say it's not of interest to my audience, which is kind of true, because if it's not of interest to me, it's not going to be of interest to you guys either. How do I organize the schedule? So we kind of like select the shows that I want to go to, then we speak to brands, and if I get approved, we put them in the calendar. I obviously have a team that works on the schedule, so my assistant works on my schedule. How to handle street photographers? I'm camera shy, but gotta get over it. Okay, this is gonna sound very, very tough and very straight, but you guys know I'm a straight girl, and this is what I believe in. If you cannot stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. Like, do you want to be in the industry? You do. Then you just have to kind of like be like, okay, I'm gonna like push through. There's so many girls that were camera shy, but they wanted this more than anything else, and they really like went for it. It's uncomfortable at first, but I think it gets more comfortable with time. You get used to it, you get to know them, you know, you get more comfortable. They're also like making their living, and they need to get those pictures for their job. So I think it's mutually beneficial. And also, you know, I think it's very important that like there's a lot of also people who are like, oh, I really want to be an influencer, but I don't want to like, you know, go to these events and go to these shows. And like, it's like saying, oh, I really want to be a successful football player, but I really don't want to go for like all the trainings. How many shows in New York do you attend? So New York Fashion Week has gone a lot shorter. At the beginning, I used to come to New York for like 10 days, not 10 days, but like 8 days. And last time I was there for 5 days. And I've done around 12, 13 shows. Not too many, but there's presentations as well in between. So shows you have to be on time, and then you sit and then you watch the catwalk, and presentations are usually like 1 hour slots. You can come in whenever you want during that 1 hour slot to see the collection. I would say shows are much more exclusive because presentations take more people. What vlogging camera do you use to capture your own outfit of the days? I use 2 vlogging cameras, Leica Q and Canon G7X, which is actually what I'm filming on right now just because it's easy. Usually I prefer filming on Leica, but just kind of couldn't this time. How do you change that many times a day? You have to be very organized. I bring all of my outfits, I prepare all my outfits in separate bags. And this is like a bag for, I don't know, like a Dior show. This is a bag for like Loewe show, blah, 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 blah. Then you put them all in the boot, and whichever show you're going to, you kind of grab the bag and you change in the car. I would say in Milan and Paris, I always have to have a car because the shows are back to back. I have more than 5 shows a day in those cities. Whereas in In London, I also always have a car. In New York, I do often have, but also don't have. Like sometimes I just can't arrange a car. In New York, it's too logistically difficult, and also it's very expensive. Like to have a driver for a day is like crazy. How do you approach brand PR when pitching to see a show when someone is just starting? I would say, like, you know, you have to sit down with yourself and say, okay, what is my goal? What is my plan? What do I need to do? You want to do like the fashion weeks, okay, so which shows would you like to see? And then start building those relationships with those brands before the next season. You cannot just sit down and be like, okay, it's August, and text all the PRs being like, hi, I want to come to your show, because that's like when you text somebody only when you need something. That's exactly the same. So you need to first give something and then ask something, because that's how relationships are developed, and because this is a very, very, very competitive industry. So in a very competitive industry, like, people are going to be like, no, because there's another person that's already given more. It's always like, what can you give in order to receive? How far in advance do you start planning for looks and booking everything you need for Fashion Week? So booking and show planning, I start very much in advance. We already started talking about it in July for September, but working on it since August. And on my outfits, not far in advance at all. As you guys can see, I'm working really hard to be recycling some of my old looks and outfits, like pieces that I've been wearing before. I also am very lucky because many brands want to dress me for their shows. Now, what does that mean? That means that they will lend me clothing for the show from their showroom, which are samples. So they're not pieces that get sold afterwards. They're pieces that are in their showroom for shoots, for Vogue, for Elle, you know, like the whole collection. Those are usually also the pieces that are shown on the catwalk. So you see them in February, and then September comes and they're like, well, would you like to wear from the collection? And if I didn't like anything, sometimes you'll see that I'm not dressed for the show, and it's usually because I didn't like anything from the lookbook, or nothing was my personal style, or we couldn't logistically work it out. Very often I would choose something so I can kind of plan it along the way. Like for Milan, and we are now like planning, they're sending me lookbooks, and I'm like, I would like to do this. Or sometimes if I can't really decide, I'm like, can I come in for a fitting, which means that I try everything on and then I decide what I'm gonna wear. After I wear it at a fashion show, I then send it back to the brand. So we usually, like, how it works is it gets sent to the showroom. And that's basically it. That makes my life much easier, because otherwise, you know, I go to, in a month, for sure, to more than 30 shows, and that would require, just for those shows, 30 looks, and then there's parties and events and stuff. Otherwise it would be impossible, even though I have a lot of clothes, and even though I bought a lot of clothes before Fashion Month, and even though I got even more clothes that you haven't even seen yet, that's new, but I'm saving it for Paris. I don't know why, I'm always like saving it for the last day. I wish I was like that with money, but nah. Which city is your favorite, and which season is your favorite Fashion Week? I love September because it's warm, and Milan. Milan because I have my agency there. It feels like family, it feels like home. I'm also pretty successful, like doing really well like with shows in Milan, and I'm accepted really well in Italy. This sounds really, like, you know, weird, but it's just like some cities accept you better than the others. Also Paris I love, because it's getting really great for me. I have to say that I love Milan because of the food and shopping and seeing Enrico and Matteo, my best friends, and Marcella, my manager. It's just so nice. Like, I love them. Where does your assistant stay if she cannot come with you to the shows? Like, usually with all the other assistants. So they kind of all get to know each other, and they wait outside of the show. Sometimes they come into the show, depends how big is the venue, but not like seated, just kind of like waiting or helping around. I mean, it's not like, I guess, the most glamorous way of doing it, but we also have a car, you know, so like an assistant can usually wait in the car as well. But I think it's like much more like professional for, you know, assistant to be kind of like waiting outside of the show so that they can assist you if there's an issue or something happens, or I don't know, there's, your name is not at the door because of a mistake or something like that. How many times per day do you usually change, and is it necessary? I wouldn't say it's necessary, like that you have to change, but I do at this point in my career, because I think at this point I kind of have to. So okay guys, my battery died, so I'm gonna have to finish on this camera, which actually films much better. I just thought I wouldn't be able to kind of set it up nicely. Hopefully this is going to be safe. So someone's asked me, how many times per day do you usually change, and is it necessary? I don't think it's necessary, and I think if it's gonna make you spend money, unreasonable amount of money, and you're starting, it shouldn't be done. However, I change a lot because I go to places, and then like photographers take pictures of me, and then I go to next show, and then I'm kind of wearing the same look. So it's a little bit like, I don't really know how to explain it, but throughout the day, because there are so many different shows, I change 3 or 4 times a day depending. Like if you guys watch my New York Fashion Week vlog or London Fashion Week vlog, you'll be able to tell in a better way. Actually, this is quite a good way of like now also finding out which camera do you prefer, this camera or the other camera that I filmed with, because I do receive sometimes mixed information, and I know that this camera sometimes is doing a weird thing where it's focusing. Sometimes the problem with this camera is that it is focusing a lot because it has a really nice blurry background. So yeah, I'm sorry. Do you pay to go to parades, I guess, to fashion shows, or are you invited for brands? Like you cannot pay, you cannot buy a ticket to a show. I know London Fashion Week is doing some public shows, but they are not as exclusive and as amazing. If you can buy your way into something, I don't think it's exclusive or exciting or amazing, so I wouldn't go. If you can pay for something, I wouldn't go personally. Just want to say you always look amazing and so beautiful. Love your pink dress and hair. Thank you so much. This is so sweet. When you attend Fashion Week, do you travel and stays covered by the brands, or is it on your own? A lot of times it's on my own actually. Well, sometimes a brand will like say, oh, we have this event, we want to fly you in Paris, but Paris is 8 days. Brand is not going to say we're going to cover for 8 days of you going to see other brands. Do you know what I mean? Like, for example, if you go to like one event with a brand, they will maybe cover your flights, but you still have a hotel to cover. And then if brands want to cover different hotels, like you would end up having to move a lot. I'd rather book my own hotel or have a collaboration with a hotel or something like that. It can be very, very expensive to attend all 4 fashion weeks, but also for me, it is a good time for work because brands know that I attend fashion weeks. So brands know that because I do fashion weeks, they often come to me for collaborations. And that's just very honest. And usually, to be honest, I do work a lot, but I used to be like, for like seasons and seasons, I used to be in minus because I would spend much more money than I would earn. It's like excruciatingly expensive to pay for the hotel, flights, cars, 2 people, food, all of our expenses, you know, like I pay for everything. You know, it would be like really a big investment, and then you start getting more work, and then it's kind of getting like closer to a zero until like seasons and seasons and seasons pass, years pass, and then you actually start making money and working much harder than you would at any other time of the year, which is why many influencers don't do fashion week, because they think like, why would I work way harder than I normally do to spend more money than I usually do to make so little money where I could be sitting at home working as I usually do and making more money? You know, why? But actually my idea and my point of the way that I work is that I actually much more enjoy building my name and educating myself on trends, on brands, learning and pushing myself further so that I can excel and I can be better at this job. How do you pack so much? Logistics is a nightmare. So I flew to New York from Brighton. I went to London. I flew to New York. I got back. I repacked. I went on a trip with Louis Vuitton. I arrived in London. And then I'm going tomorrow to Brighton to repack again. And I'm then flying to Milan. And from Milan, I'll fly to Paris. So I have to pack for Milan and Paris. It's going to be a nightmare. I'll have to have a lot of bags. Do you end up dressing the way you put the outfits, or do you change it when you're there? Such a good question. Actually, I 90% of the time do like still wear the same like shape, but then I would choose, like I would change shoes, or I would change a bag or something like that. So it's still along the lines of what I chose. It's just very important for me to put together outfits because then I make sure that I don't forget like a nude bra or a nude body or something like that that I need. Do you have to be invited, or do you buy an entry? Like I said, you cannot buy an entry to any of these. Like they are like industry shows. Why all these photographers, where are all these photos going? I guess that's about the street style. Well, these people live off taking pictures of fashion and street style, so then they can sell the pictures. They go, I don't know, on like Getty Images, or they go to magazines. Like I was featured this month in like Vogue, Elle, Harper's Bazaar. So it's like that's their jobs. They all have different. They maybe have even their own blogs or magazines. How do you change so quickly? I don't know. My driver sees a lot of stuff. How do you decide what to wear? So I put together my outfits before I go, basically. How does the street photography work with all the traffic stopping but streets aren't closed? It's dangerous. You just have to be very careful, present in the moment, mindful. But of course, like I actually try to get my picture taken because it's, of course, like I said, beneficial for my job, But also, like, it would be so rude, I think, not to stop for those people. They like stand outside of those shows for 40 minutes, they freeze, they get wet in the rain, their equipment gets broken, stolen. They work without knowing if they're gonna sell those pictures or not, and this is, I think, what we owe them. When was your first New York Fashion Week and how did you feel? So we have to like go back to this. I think it was 2012 or 13. In February, it was freezing. There was a crazy blizzard called Nemo, and I was beyond excited. And actually, I'm still excited. I love this industry because I only take the best out of it and I look at it the best way. I don't find it miserable, depressing, like I don't find it like I don't belong. I have my friends in this industry. Like, this industry has given me this life. When I say this life, I don't mean like material life, because the material life like is not something that I lacked before, but it's the like lifestyle of being able to justify not working in the pharmacy but traveling and enjoying. And yeah, would you like to have a cooperation with Zuhair Murad? Both of you are so elegant. I actually always go to his shows and I often get dressed by Zuhair himself. So someone's asking, can I film a video about putting together outfits for Fashion Week? I've done that just before Fashion Week. Do you have to return the clothes designers give you to wear? Most of the time, unless, I would say 20% of the chances they will say the outfit will be gifted, and in 80% of chances they'll say you can choose what you want to wear. Regardless, I always would pick the same thing. If it's gifted, or if I'm gonna borrow, or if I buy it, you know, like I still have to wear it. I'm gonna be photographed in it, and I'm gonna like kind of show you what I choose and what I like, and I'm gonna be in magazines in it, and very often media is gonna pick that up. So I don't understand sometimes why would influencer just choose to wear something from the brand just to be dressed, but it's horrible. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me, because like, you know, there's your head with that outfit. But yeah, I'm just always trying to be very transparent. So 90% of the outfits that you see that you don't see me wear again, they're just borrowed, because I also feel like it's very wasteful to buy so much clothes, not money wise, but like, even what am I gonna do with all that clothes? What am I gonna do with 30 outfits that I just buy for Fashion Week or for parties? Like, I don't even party, like I don't even you know, I don't party like the rest of the year, so I don't need so many like party outfits like I do during Fashion Month. So I borrow clothes. That really works. Sometimes, of course, I get gifted clothes, like this Fashion Week, getting a look gifted from Armani, getting a look gifted from Pinko, getting a look gifted. I'm supporting a fellow influencer as well, so she's gifting me a look. Like, you know, we get few things gifted for sure, but majority of the things that I wear, I borrow, and very often I prefer to borrow than to get these like extreme like vast amounts of clothing gifted, because I like to just buy what I want and what I like. And also, even like when brands, now I'm being like very honest, as you can see in this video, sometimes brands reach out to me and they're like, hi, we'd like your address for gifting purposes, and I always tell them we do not accept just like that gifts, like unless it's something that I like and I have chosen, like we're happy to accept, but otherwise I think it's wasteful. And if I don't like it, I'm not gonna wear it. Maybe someone else will like it, you know, like give it to somebody else. In case I don't like it, please give it to another influencer, because it's very wasteful just like sending packages like that. I only want to receive the things that I've picked, that I will wear, that I will show, that I will make use of. I think it's also greener, and I think it's kind of like kinder to the other people. Do you need to be famous to go to Fashion Week, and can a person buy a ticket? This is clearly the most common question. I've already responded. What do you think about the negative energy around in the fashion industry? I don't actually like surround myself with negative energy. If someone's giving me negative vibes or is very like weird, I try to distance myself, because I do not like people putting each other down. I don't like the whole like, why did you get this? Why didn't I get that? I have my girlfriends that are way more successful than me, who I love, and I love supporting them. I don't know, for me, supporting each other is the way I was raised. This month, for example, the Times list came with a list of influencers that Times basically kind of named like 100 influencers in the UK, like top 100. And I texted, like Amelia was like ahead of me. I love her, and she's a very nice girl, so I texted her to say congratulations, like she was in front of me, she did really well, I was so happy for her, and I think she deserves it. That's like my opinion. So like, so many times it happens to me that like an influencer gets something that I don't get, and I'm genuinely happy, and very often I congratulate. I think it's so important to support each other, and how you feel like is so important. I don't want to poison my soul with negative energy. And most of my girls, like, we talk about books, we talk about clothing, we talk about boys, so it's very exciting. Like, there is no space for negativity. Do you think you'd actually wear 90% of stuff you brought? You're awesome, love you too. I do often wear 90%. There's always like just very few things that I don't wear, but I just bring them in case. Yeah, a lot of like, do you pay for like hotels and cars and things? And yeah, sadly I do. Actually, not sadly, it's an investment. It's an investment in what I do, in educating myself. Like, I'm very lucky that my parents paid for my university fees, and to be honest, like, it was a lot of money because I was an international student when I moved to the UK. So being an international student means, like, you know, crazy amounts of money have to be paid to the university, which I would never. My parents taught me that for education you should never regret spending money, and that's how I feel towards this. I'm at Fashion Week. Sure, I'm here to do my job, but I'm educating myself. I'm learning about the designers, about styles, about brands, about seasons, about trends, about what's coming. Like today, I'm going to David Comer's show for his 10-year anniversary, and I will be one of the 10 girls that will be wearing pieces from the archives. And all the girls are like international, they are doing it, and it's really amazing. So, you know, I feel like I'm working towards somewhere, and that designers respect me, and I respect and love them so much. I have so much respect for people that have worked their way up in this industry and like started as like an assistant or an intern, but now they're in the front row. For me, that's so much more inspiring than someone who just all of a sudden like starts in the industry and thinks like, I want to sit front row. I just think it's much more inspiring to work your way up and to persist. And that's basically my 2 cents on the Fashion Week questions. If I forgot to answer any, you can leave the comments and I will, I promise, respond to everything. I just wanted to say, I'll probably get some hate from people in the industry, like other influencers, for being too transparent, because people try to conceal this and keep it under the veil. But I think if you have a right approach, there's nothing to hide. Like, nothing that I said is wrong or should be perceived as wrong. So that's it. I love you. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye, guys.